Hello, and welcome to episode 82 of Let's Talk Immigration. The first thing I want to discuss is a tweet that was sent out um, 41 minutes ago by the Prime Minister, or the Premier, the President, whatever, of Canada, Justin Trudeau, um, who I think his time has come to move on to do other things. Let me share the tweet. He says the IRGC is now listed as a terrorist group in Canada. Well, this is parroting, copying what President Trump and Secretary Pompeo did in 2017 in the United States when they designated IRGC, the Revolutionary Guard Corps, also known as SEPA, the Iranian military, as a terrorist organization. The problem is it also has a conscription component. Many of the people, not all, many that participate in IRGC that are members were conscripted. They were not given choices whether or not, hey, do you go to the military or not? Iran has a conscripted military. So who does this punish? Let me tell you who this punishes. This punishes the Iranian families with family members in North America who are separated. And in most cases, these are not, almost all cases, they're not sympathetic to the regime. These are people that oppose the regime. That's why they got out, okay? Or that's why they're leaving. And so instead of Justin Trudeau like taking an action that actually punishes the mullahs or the leaders of Iran, he's taking an action that Trump did that punishes Iranian families and causes them to be separated. And I am angry about this because the U.S. has tried this now for, I don't know, what's it been, 6-7 years, and it's causing extraordinary hardship for thousands of families. Most of them have called me and talked about it. I cannot tell you how many pregnant women have called me, U.S. citizens who are married to an Iranian national who spent mandatory service time in IRGC 10 years ago or 5 years ago, 20 years ago, usually not 20. And now I have to explain to them that he cannot enter the U.S. because IRGC is a terrorist group. And so I have to advise these families that like your best bet is to establish a home together in a third country because U.S. citizens cannot go live in Iran safely. Okay. So a third country like Canada, Malaysia, Turkey, but now Canada's off the list. Okay. There's a huge community of former IRGC conscripts who live in Canada. And I cannot believe that he is such an idiot that he would not understand the impact that this is going to make to Canadian Iranian families. But I'm not a citizen of Canada, so I can't solve Canada's problems. It's just frustrating to see another country copy the U.S. when the U.S. is doing something that we know doesn't work. Oh, I'm angry. Okay. Other news. President Biden did an executive order that is supposed to help. The number is 500,000 undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens that live in the U.S., but it's mostly propaganda because spouses of U.S. citizens already have a path to the green card, except in narrow situations where they entered the U.S. Not at a port of entry or something like that. And so this gives them a path that's easier. And it's not a bad thing. What is bad is the Biden administration doesn't really care about immigrants, so they would not have waited till the fourth year of the term to do it. Okay. If it was really doing all the help that they said, why'd they wait 4 years to do it? And the second thing is they're making it out to be like the biggest relief in the world that he could do. Not true. It's just not true. I mean, the biggest relief he could do in the world is they could staff the agencies charged with supporting immigration to the U.S. I saw yesterday where the one USCIS service center has laid off like 100 employees. That means they've let them go because they're like, oh, we don't have enough work for you. Backlogs of years and years, and they're laying off employees. Same with State Department refusing to staff embassies where the prospective population is not people that they want to come to the U.S. They're using 221G also as a way to throttle immigration to the U.S. These are things the Biden administration is doing and then pretending like they're pro-immigrant. And I'm fed up. I'm done with President Biden. I know some of you come here with your immigration questions, and that's what we're going to do. But I just want to get those two things off of my plate. Justin Trudeau, not my favorite person today. President Biden, if I had to choose between what he did this week and not doing it, yes, I'm happy he's did it. But let's not pretend like it's going to help that many families. I think that 500,000 number is probably high too. I think that's a number that they kind of made up. So anyway, let's get into questions because otherwise I'm just going to scream at the computer. Okay, David says, regarding the DV 2020 motion, if the government has not presented an opposition at the moment, could they put it in later? Do they have a deadline to present it? Or can you assume that they won't? Great question, David. What David is referring to is the Gomez motion that we also entered into and supported that asked the appeals court in the Gomez matter to accelerate their opinion on the appeal. I think since the government, the government would not reply to that now. It's too late. But I think the fact that they didn't reply is telling it and not necessarily good. It means that they kind of agree. They would like an opinion soon too. Part of that is because they probably think they're going to win, just like we are hopeful that we're going to win. They're probably hopeful that they're going to win. But they did not oppose it. But the appeals court, they have the discretion to manage their own docket, and they have a ton of appeals. Appeals are always being filed every day, and they're in the best position to prioritize which one's first. I actually appealed a case this week into the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals on an immigration delay case because I'm just tired of when district court judges make mistakes. It's time to take those mistakes up to a higher court and have the higher court weigh in. So I just wish that more immigrants could afford the appeal process, right? Anyway, I think I've asked you your question. Can you assume that they won't? Yes. Assume that the government is not going to weigh in on that. And the way you know that the court took that motion serious is if the opinion comes soon. If the opinion doesn't come soon, they didn't take it serious, or maybe, they have a lot of other cases that might have priority. Okay. This is a question from somewhere else because it's posted by us. I am one of the 2021 participants in Good Luck. Mr. Morrison, we are of course grateful to your conversations, explanations, opinions, and much more that you're doing. I have a question. Is it possible to find out about the possibility of close the issue of our case in court, make them decide, cancel all our legal efforts, or tell us what the reason for such a long answer in the history of mankind? It's not the longest answer in the history of mankind. Okay, so if the state represented by the KCC does not want to issue visas or conduct interviews, okay, KCC is no longer involved in Gomez or Good Luck. All those cases have already been moved to the embassy although the embassies cannot access them, KCC is not going to be involved with Gomez or Good Luck. Well, let's break that out, okay? Does not want to issue visas or conduct interviews. Okay. The legal issues of the appeal are separate from the relief that we want. Okay. The legal issues of the appeal, the main legal issue is two main legal issues. The main one is whether or not the executive, the president, and the State Department can take a 212F exclusion proclamation that says that where the president has the authority to exclude a class of immigrants from entering the U.S., if they can take that to mean a visa exclusion, like the group that was excluded from entry is also excluded from visas. The law doesn't say that. Congress didn't say that. But what the Biden administration is trying to get the courts to do is to say that and interject law where Congress didn't speak. That's the important issue here. So the question misunderstands what's happening in the lawsuit. Okay. The lawsuit, that's the legal question. The legal question has to get resolved before we get what we want. Okay. But no, is it possible to find out? No, there are two options right now. Be patient or give up. That's the two options. There's not this third option. I get asked 20 times a day, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you contact the judges? Can you do? No, two options. Be patient or give up. And I prefer to be patient. How could this question continue? Let it close this case and tell everyone now not to expect anything. Let's do such a procedure or big hot. There's not such a procedure. Okay. Questions that make up fantasies don't work. There's no procedure if you want relief from the courts, you have to follow the court's procedures. You can't make up your own. I'm going to read the last part of this question. I'm done with this question. If U.S. government planning to issue, then please make them inform us when. And okay, they're not planning to issue you visas right now. Does that answer? I hope that makes it clear. They are not planning. The State Department is not planning to issue visas in Gomez and Goodluck. We need the court to uphold the decisions from Judge Mehta and Judge Chutkan. And then they're in a position where they are compelled to do it, where they're being forced to do it. Okay? Your fate is in the hands of this 3-judge panel of the Circuit Court for the District of Columbia. Okay. Gomez v. 2020. Okay, what we were just talking about. When the appeal court considers the request for permission to issue visas, it's not what we requested. What we requested was that they accelerate their opinion. Will they send a response? I don't think that's going to happen. No, there will not be a response. The response would be they give the opinion sooner. Okay. It can't be that they will refuse and not notify us. Oh, yes, it can be. Yes, the Circuit Court of Appeals can ignore a request. And as I told this audience for months, probably more than a year, this request is not normal. It's not normal to go to a circuit court and go, hello, anybody there? Hurry up. No, that's not normal. So we did it anyway because everybody insisted. And also it's pretty compelling arguments. But if the circuit court does not want to find what we argued compelling, that they don't have to, and they don't have to respond. Is there any hope at all for DV 2020 or for 2020? You just said 2020. I think you're talking about 2020 Gomez class members. And the answer is yes. It would be premature to give up hope. Richard Liu, hello again. Good luck day, sir. Update from the appeal court. No update. I mean, I've been talking about that for a few minutes now, but there's not an update. I'm from Uzbekistan. What about our situation, DB 2020? Your situation is the same as everybody else's situation. Even though the U.S. government is treating Uzbekistanis different right now for some crazy reason, your situation is the same. We're still waiting on the outcome of the appeal. Okay, any suggestions or template on how to write members of Congress to address the unreasonable delays and staff shortages in immigration, such as the backlog in administrative processing? Great question, Ras. Great question. Thank you for that question. First of all, a lot of people do not reach out to their members of Congress constituent services person because they think they need to draft a letter. Stop. You don't have to draft a letter. You go online to their website and they have a thing to click on and a form to fill out. They don't want a letter. They want you to fill out the form. After the constituent service person gets feedback from the State Department and they relay that feedback to you, that's when the power starts. That's when you push reply, and I'll talk slow so you can write this down. You push reply and say, let me see here. Backlog and administrative processing. Okay, you push reply and say, I have a follow-up question. Can Congressman X please ask the State Department why only 37 analysts are assigned to address security advisory opinions, and then put in parentheses SAOs, at the Screening Analysis and Coordination Department, parentheses SAC, when there are 61,000 pending SAO requests. Space. It seems like they are deliberately trying to throttle legal immigration to the United States. Question mark. Okay. If you have a good member of Congress and a good constituent services person, they're going to jump on that. They're going to use this as an opportunity to ask hard questions to the State Department. Ask that hard question. You can do any question you want. That's just my preferred question. Thank you for that question, Raz. Thea Paul says, I need to make this go away. Hello, Morrison. Hello. Rose says, what are the chances that the new potential Trump administration could roll back EAD for spouses of H-1B folks stuck in the backlog? How would I calculate that, Raul? There's no way to calculate that. I think the odds, if you've got an immigration issue, the odds that Trump will do something to screw it up are high. They're very high, okay? That's why this election is very important. It's very important that we vote for Biden, who's a dumbass. It's very important that we vote for him to keep Trump from becoming president again. Okay. How easy is exempt conscript? Is there a will? Of course. I don't know Canadian law, but I expect that Canadian law would be similar to the U.S., where there's no exemption. There is litigation pending in the United States. Shabnam Lofty, my esteemed colleague, has filed a lawsuit about this, and she's waiting on the outcome. So, okay. Good evening, Mr. Morrison. When is the verdict of DV 2021? Okay, there's no such thing as verdict of DV 2021. The majority of DV 2021 selectees, your journeys ended on October 1st, 2021. Okay. The journeys that continue are not just DV 2021. Either you're good luck or go plaintiffs, or you are eligible under the Ray order. Those are the three things that could mean that your journey continues. Okay, Michelle says, sorry, if you already said this as I joined the group, do you think the parole in place Biden announced yesterday will allow someone with a permanent bar due to multiple reentries in the U.S. will the parole in place fix or remove this bar? Hi, Michelle. Great question. I actually know somebody with a similar situation, and I was wondering that myself. I do not know the answer. And since most of my practice personally is around litigation, I'm just not an expert on that, on the bars. So I would consult with an immigration. I recommend that you consult with an immigration attorney. that does more traditional practice. There are a couple actually that do lives, like Jim Hacking and Greg Siskin and Charles Cuck. Great question for them. I need to watch you ask that question for them to find the answer. Okay. Bamba says, do we still believe it, DV 2021? Well, as I said before, Bamba, DV journeys ended for the majority of DV 2021 selectees on October 1st, 2021. There is a myth amongst DV 2021 selectees that the litigation we did for Good Luck was on behalf of all DV 2021s. And that is not the case. About 20 people a day, I have to explain that to, because they're hoping that the appeal is going to somehow give them a path that does not exist. Okay. So if you are not a Good Luck, not a Go plaintiff, and you are not eligible for relief from the Ray order, your journey is over. Okay. Okay. 20 minutes in and we're out of questions. I was really surprised by that. I do have a couple other things off the top of my head that I could talk to you about. At my other law firm, we are onboarding a group lawsuit for Iranian families stuck in AP. The onboarding for that lawsuit ends in, I think, 2 days. So please, if you know an Iranian family that's stuck in AP and they want an affordable litigation option, now is the time, not the future, not the past. Right now is the time they need to act. So let me think what else. I have a question. I'm complaining about the 2021 DV. I would like to know if there's hope. What is the final verdict? I don't see the word good luck, and I don't see the word go, and I don't see the word Ray. So the journey's probably over. Okay. DV 2021 selectees, journeys are over unless you were a plaintiff in one of those lawsuits or you were protected by the Ray order in one of those, and because you were waiting on interview at one of those embassies. If your question is when the outcome of that appeal, it's going to be, I don't know. And yes, there is hope. It would be premature to give up hope. But let's not pretend that litigation is going to give hope to people that have already been excluded because they did not participate in litigation. Okay. Patrick says, good evening. Got my interview scheduled for the end of July. U.S. Embassy Dakar, Senegal, F2A category. That is great news, Patrick. I wish you had a question. But it's great news. I wish you luck. I hope everything goes smooth and great. Okay. So I'm going to wrap up early today because it looks like there's not that many questions in the community. There's just me screaming really loud at my computer. I got a new computer, by the way, so that's why it's working like it wasn't last Wednesday. So I will see you next Wednesday for episode 83 of Let's Talk Immigration. Okay. Everybody take care of yourself. Also, happy Juneteenth. It's Juneteenth in the USA. Important holiday. I'll tell you a little bit about it if you're still watching. In the US, we had slavery. When the Civil War was over, the slaves were free. No one told the slaves in Texas that they were free until, I don't know, 2 years later or something. And so when they finally learned that they were free, we made that a holiday. It was celebrated in the African-American community for many years before the current administration finally acknowledged that we should acknowledge this history. And so that's what Juneteenth independence is. It's kind of an ugly story, but it's one that's important to remember. Okay. So, we did get some more questions. No, we didn't. Oh, okay. Have a good week, everybody. See you next week for episode 83.